Welcome, everyone, to the SoCal Car Scene Podcast, the exclusive place for coverage of car culture in Southern California and the personalities that drive it. I'm Dean Marash, and this show is sponsored by SoCal Classic Car Storage and C-Tech Battery Chargers. Today, our very special guests are Doug and his wife, Marissa Campbell. Please make sure you subscribe to the SoCal Car Scene on our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. We are honored today to have these two amazing people, just incredible guests, Doug and Marissa. Doug started out his work career as an engineer for Texas Instruments in Dallas after graduating from North Carolina State with a degree in mechanical engineering. He subsequently worked for Ericsson, EF, Johnson, and Itron, and transitioned during that time from engineering to marketing and product development. Doug finished out his corporate career with 20 years at Southern California Edison. That's probably why the lights are still on. He retired in 2016. Doug now works enjoying his passion for vintage sports cars, working at Superformance and Hillbank Motorsports, Superformance and Shelby Legendary Cars, where he focuses on marketing, public relations, and sales. Marissa is on a mission to empower others to live their best life in health, wellness, and reinvention. She is a superfoods and supercars enthusiast with a strong business mindset and a passion for health and wealth. Her tenure as a restaurant and catering company owner for over 2 decades led her to a billion-dollar global company specializing in the health and wellness industry in 2015. Marissa is currently inspiring many on-the-go individuals, business owners, multipreneurs, that's a mouthful, car and racing enthusiasts to greatness by assisting them to their greatest wealth and health. Doug and Marissa, thanks so much for joining us on the SoCal Car Scene.
It's awesome to be here.
Thank you for having us.
I'm with you on the multipreneur. It sounds like a dog breed. What is that? Is that a schnauzer? No, it's a multipreneur.
Well, so I call it a serial entrepreneur, but I like that. I like that better because it's not as threatening. Serial has a negative connotation sometimes.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to go into it. Okay, but hey, I got to start off with this disclaimer, and Jay warned you earlier. You guys are the absolute first couple we've had on the show. Wow. So when this thing goes off the rails, neither Jay, my producer, my son, or I are responsible for what happens. Okay?
Or we?
Done.
I hope not.
Done. Okay.
Done.
So we need another agreement, Jay. Let's get their signature on that. All right, Doug, most important question. It's on everybody's mind, right? Did you know that Marissa is such a car fanatic before you pop the question? I mean, that's what everybody wants to know. I mean, I'm thinking you wouldn't have married her if you didn't know this, but maybe she shocked you with this evolution.
When I met her, she had just bought herself a birthday present. It was a BMW M3 convertible, and she spec'd it out with the twin disc clutch and all the good stuff. And so that's when I knew, like, okay, she's got it, like, in her DNA. And man, she loved to drive fast.
I'm impressed. A twin disc clutch. I can't even say that, but
right.
I mean, impressive.
Well,
not just the car, but the clutch.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun. That was a great car.
Yeah, she started telling me about all her car and how she had it all spec'd out. And I was like, damn, she knows what she's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. But now you know what his priorities were, right? Which is good. Cars.
Cars.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a beautiful car sitting behind you, right? That beautiful Superformance Daytona. And I got a glimpse of it at the quarantine cruise, the 7th one on Sunday last week. And you kind of gave me the grand tour. And I was so impressed. But why don't you tell everybody the story behind that car?
Oh my gosh, I love that car so much. So that baby began as Doug's dream car. And that was back in 1990, I want to say 6?
No, 2005.
Oh, I screwed that up. Back in 2005, that's right. It was 2005. Yeah. Way before I even came into the picture. So that takes us back about 15 years.
Yeah.
And when we decided to get married, I had taken a little step away from my restaurant days.
Yeah.
And I was like in this in-between phase, right? So Doug's like, well, why don't we just focus on getting married? And so I'm like, all right. And I said, well, we're going to do the wedding around the car then. And it was nice. It was nice to have that, that be the focal point. So the chassis number on the car is number 88. And as the universe would have it, we got married on 8/8
Was that a plan? Come on.
No,
She planned,
I planned it.
She planned it
yeah.
around the car. Yeah.
No kidding. Wow.
I started looking at the calendar and I was like, well, August 8th this year, it lands on a Saturday, which was perfect. 2015, which also adds up to the number 8.
2015 if you add it up.
Yeah, thank you for that.
So we're big on the number 8, but everything in our life from the beginning of our love story has really, truly evolved around that car. Our first date, we got in there and I knew it was weird. It was like when I got in that car, there was something about the feeling of that car.
Yeah. Not about Doug per se, more about the car.
It
was about the car.
It was both.
Oh, okay.
It was like
I'm kidding.
Yeah. So,
I thought it was the hair. He's got great hair.
he's got great hair.
He does. He
has
really does
great
get a
hair.
good head of
It
hair.
was the hair, the eyes, and the car.
Oh.
You know,
Wow.
It was all three.
Not necessarily enough.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Yeah, but I just had a feeling when I got in that car. Like it was one of those moments where
You knew it.
I just knew. It was like I'd been in that car, but I didn't know. You just fast forward into a space in your life and a time in your life. So it was a great
So
moment.
the car is slightly different now.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe significantly different now, thanks
Totally.
to some of your friends or everybody's friends in the car industry, some guy by the name of Chip Foose. So tell us about that story. Give us a 411 on
Oh my
that.
God, so great. So the future GT40, which is also behind us, that was the idea was birthed in 2017, and then Doug unveiled it at SEMA in 2018. And part of the deal when he started to build that car, he said, we had a little exchange. I said, okay, you can have the exchange.
Yeah.
You can build a GT40, right? And then I get the coupe. And so no,
And at that time, it was a beat up race car.
Right.
I tracked the crap out of that
So it
car
was trash.
and beat on it. So
it wasn't
the engine
trash,
was tired.
but it
It
definitely
had no
track
paint
miles.
left on the nose.
No kidding.
It was
Just patinaed out.
well used.
Road
Yeah.
rash.
Yeah.
Road rash. I mean, and it was, but it was still an animal. It was a beast. It was beautiful. But he was trying to make it more mine as he was building the GT40. And so when when the show came back, when Overhaulin, started marketing that they were bringing back a season, Doug said, well, hell with it. I'm gonna submit in and just see. So he submitted my car in like every other human being would do. And literally a day later,
Yeah. Saw a thing on Facebook.
A day later?
was it like a day later?
2 days later.
2 days later.
I submitted a thing online. I saw it on Facebook. I clicked on it. It took me to the website. I spent 20 minutes doing the submission thinking there's no way in hell they're going to pick this car. And literally 2 days later, I got a call from Bub Brutzman, the executive producer. And I guess, I heard the story later on. Rich Waitis from Magnaflow and Chip and Bud were sitting in a room going through the submissions for season 10.
No kidding.
And my submission came up and Chip didn't even read it. He saw the car and he's like, we're doing that one.
It was one of Chip's dream cars. To
No
be able
kidding.
To do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. So that was super
How
cool.
incredible. What an incredible story.
So
that
when
he
people,
wanted to do one.
He wanted to do one. And that was because of his connection back to Peter Brock. He really felt, Peter was such a big influence in his life and his career, and he modeled his life really after Pete in
And
terms
for
of
people that don't know,
car
Peter
design.
Brock was Carroll Shelby's first paid employee. He designed the original Daytona Coupe back in the 60s and then went on post Shelby to form BRE Datsun, Brock Racing Enterprise Datsuns, that won the Trans Am Championships in the 70s with the 510s, the 280Zs.
And Pete went
Or
to
240s.
the Art Center, which is also where Chip
Pasadena
right.
Art Center.
Yeah.
So there was that whole connection.
So I really thought the story was going to go like this. That you submitted and said, poor Italian woman down on her luck with a broken down Daytona Coupe. And, no, but it's incredible. Wow. So
yeah, no, for us, it was all about reinvention. And so I think that's what they were drawn to as
your
part
life
of,
story of reinvention.
right.
Yeah, great. Well, we'll talk more about that car. It's just so incredible. But what we got to know, Doug, is this juggernaut that you're part of, this Superformance, Hillbank Motorsports.
Super duper performance.
There's so many names for it. First of all,
Shelby Legendary Cars.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So just so you know, we had your boss on this podcast, right? A number of months ago. Was early in our infancy. And I left that podcast. I'm like, I still don't think I got it right. He owns a whole damn thing, and he's got a distribution business, and I think he owns distribution. And so we're still trying to figure it out. But what we realize now is what an incredible company it is, because I get to see it through the lens of my customers like Chris, and we've got other cars that come in here. And once it gets in your blood, I guess there's no going back. But tell us a little bit about your company that you're blessed to work for.
Yeah, absolutely. When I retired from Edison, I was off for about 4 months. I spent a lot of time in the garage trying to rebuild the Daytona after 10, 11 years of hard use. I had to recoat the exhaust. So I did garage therapy for a couple of months, got it ready to do a cruise with the Orange County Cobra Club up to Cambria, Paso Robles area. Yeah. And we were up there with Lance and his wife, Deborah. And he asked me what I was doing. And I said, nothing, I'm retired. And he said, why don't you come work for us? And I'm like, okay, we'll talk when I get back. And so, ended up coming to work for him, which is perfect, because I told her when I left Edison that I want whatever I do next to be around my passion for cars.
Right.
And it's got to not feel like a job. Once you buy a car from Lance, you're part of the family.
Yes.
And so I'd known Lance for 15 years. I knew his wife. I knew his kids. I've watched his kids grow up. It's truly a family business. And Lance is somebody that's like made his own way and worked his way for everything he's gotten. Yeah. And I have a real appreciation for that. Yeah. So, the whole company, it's a family-run business. People look at Superformance and think it's this big global company, and
his son works there, his wife works there, right?
He and his wife, his daughter Shayna, his son Ashton, Ashton's wife Cynthia, and then the rest of us, Louie and Justin have been there for probably like 20 years, both of them. Wow. So, it's just a big family.
That's great.
Yeah, but Superformance, that's the company that does manufacturing and distribution of the cars. Right. And then Hillbank is the dealership. That's the retail side. Right. So if I'm dealing with a factory on factory orders or things like that, I'm working for Superformance. Right. If I'm in the showroom selling a car, I'm working for Hillbank. Yeah. And then Shelby Legendary Cars is specific distribution for the Shelby continuation cars, because we not only build the only Shelby licensed replica Cobras, the licensed GT40s, the GM licensed Grand Sports. We also build the continuation cars for Shelby.
Right. So Jason asked me when we got Lance on the show, he's like, well, who's Lance? Tell me a little bit about him, a little background. I said, I don't know any of that. I just know he's got a really cool accent. And these people from South Africa always sound smarter than the rest of us. Because we had, the guy from Rebel Off-Road across the way, Bond, and he sounded really intelligent too. And so we were going through this thing, these South African, why do these guys sound so smart? But anyways, we were fortunate to have them on. But one of the things we've noticed about this particular podcast activity is we'll crack open a door that we know a little bit about, or we think we know, and we're like, oh my God, there's this huge world out there.
That's fun.
Inside. So we're really excited about what you guys got going. And that's why we want to get the two of you in here, because you're not only working there and enjoying it, but now you've drugged your wife into the madness. And you guys are still married. So this is good.
And she supports me. I mean, when we Monterey Car Week, she always works Concorso Italiano with me.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah. And it's not profiling, because she's Italian, but we end up working over there anyway, but
it helps.
Yeah, it helps. And, it's been very cool for me, because she did like cars when we met, but she knew nothing about Shelby or the Shelby history. So, and I've learned quite a bit since going to work for Lance, because I knew about the Daytona and the Daytona's history, but now the GT40s and the Cobras and everything else I've had to learn. And she's learned it right along with me. So like one of my proudest moments was a couple of years ago at Concorso Italiano. I'm busy talking to customers, and I catch her out of the corner of my eye, and she's over explaining the Corvette Grand Sport to somebody and doing like a hell of a job. And then the next thing
you had a recorder on.
Next thing you know, she's closing a deal with a couple on a Cobra, and it's like, holy smokes, like she's crazy.
So I had that question for later on, but let's get it out of the way right now.
Sure.
The question is, why isn't she selling these cars? I think she could.
Yeah, you know what?
Have you been tempted?
It's what she's doing is her passion for helping people.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we kind of team up and do it together, because I have people in the car community that I'm friends with that need help with their health, and then and she's able to do that. Right. And I've actually had customers who come in who have trouble getting in and out of a Cobra or getting in and out of a GT40, and they've actually hired her to help them with their health and wellness. And I have a customer this week that's picking up a Cobra that couldn't get out of the Cobra once he got in.
Wow.
3 months ago.
Okay.
And now, Friday we'll be delivering his Cobra. And
now
he's
you can
so
get
happy.
in and out. Yeah. But to Doug's point, it's such a beautiful synergy that we have between the two and how we work together. Because for me, these cars are literally, they're just a natural extension of who I am at this point.
Right.
And so when I am out doing something car related with Doug, it's truly from a place of pure love, pure enthusiasm for the car, and pure joy. And I think that when people see something like that, they can feel it, and that becomes the attractor factor in, and then I just hand him over to Doug.
So if she magnetizes them close, it's all good, right?
Yeah.
I get it.
So I meet a lot of people that need help with their health and wellness, and I hand them off to her.
Right.
And her driving around Monterey during Car Week in a Cobra, there's nothing hotter than a beautiful girl driving a Cobra, a 427 Cobra, right? So that brings people to me, and so we work well together as a team.
And I want to inspire a lot of couples and females to be able to get behind whatever it is that they love to drive, whatever they're drawn to, and get out there and just do it. And for me, it's Superformance.
I want to talk more about that because we've got a lot of female owners and drivers here. But right now, we've got to bring in one of our advertisers, as mentioned earlier. This podcast is brought to you by C-Tech. Are you looking for a smarter way to charge your car's battery? Our friends at C-Tech lead the way in the care and maintenance of vehicle batteries. C-Tech's unparalleled knowledge and continuous investment in innovation mean they offer high-quality, reliable chargers that are effective, easy to use, and most importantly, safe for the user and their car's electric system. The quality of C-Tech's products make them the trusted company of the world's most recognizable car brands, including Audi, Bentley, BMW, Corvette, Ford, Ferrari, Maserati, Mercedes, Porsche, and numerous others. Get yours today at smartercharger.com.
And speaking of C-Tech, at Quarantine Cruise 7, I got to meet Brian from C-Tech, and I just traded emails with him today, and he's going to come by the shop, and we're going to talk about getting some C-Tech stuff in at Hillbank. And I love quality products with quality people behind them, and Brian's such a cool guy. I love the car community. It's like the best community of people.
So Brian's a great guy
on the planet.
He's been here a couple times earlier this week or last week. He was over at Autotopia LA with Sean, and but he lives in Santa Barbara. What a commitment he makes to
come down.
I know, right?
Come down here.
But
what a great company, what great people, and great products.
So can't let that go by without a little shout out to Brian.
So I really need to know about this formative years. You got to get back to this.
How far back are we going?
Well, back when you guys first started dating, I guess.
Scandalous.
So I'm just imagining that Doug tried to impress you by taking you out on this perilous ride out on Ortega Highway to show you his prowess in his GT40. Did it work? Is that how he did this? I mean, did it happen, or is that just a rumor?
I did try and impress her with the car. I would bring it into work, drive it into work, because when we first met, her restaurant was in the same complex that I worked in for Edison. So I would drive it in, and I'd go past the restaurant on my way in, give it a couple of revs, toss her some pipes, and try and get her attention. And then I did take her out in the car and try and impress her with how fast it was. But she loves to go fast, so I don't think she was impressed so much as she was excited.
I was really excited. And it was that feeling that I was describing earlier. It was like when I got in the car, it was just that I felt at home.
Like an aura. A good aura.
Yeah, it was an energy. There was an energy about it. Yeah. And then, of course, I was so mesmerized, by Doug and his amazing eyes. I mean, I think that is actually my favorite part of Doug for sure, and what Chip did for the Overhaulin, because I had no idea what the color was going to be. And if you look at Doug's eyes and you look at that car.
Same color.
Yeah.
Do they have the Foose fade?
Sometimes. Sometimes.
Well, I've gotten stuck in that tractor beam. That's why I can't gaze at him too long. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Many men have.
Yeah, Sean.
I got to look away.
Sean from Autotopia, boy.
Yeah, a lot of men.
We get caught in each other's tractor beams sometimes.
Tractor beam.
Totally. Oh my gosh, so much fun.
Yeah, well, you guys are both awesome. But tell us. All right, so I learned something today that is the evil twin sister of your GT40, not your GT40.
Yep.
So they look awful similar. So what's the difference? And how'd you get stuck with the evil twin sister?
I stuck myself, and believe me, being stuck with that's not being stuck at all. But, you know, I came up with
She's
this
evil,
idea, and she said, you know, this whole thing came about in 2017. I was actually watching the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And after I started working for Lance, I mean, his evil plan worked great because he's like, I'll get Doug to come work for me, then I want to buy another car. And sure enough, once I drove a GT40 for the first time, like, I have to have one. It's just such an amazing car. So I started planning my GT40. I was building it in my head. And I had this whole thing planned out. And then one day we're watching the 2017 24 Hours of Le Mans. I'm watching the Ford GTs go around the track in the red, white, and blue paint scheme. And I'm like, oh my God, I can use the livery off the new race car on my car. And so that's like on a Saturday. So it wasn't until the following Monday driving into work, I'm thinking, wait a minute. If I use the modern paint scheme, why not use the modern powertrain? I could put a twin turbo EcoBoost, first time it's ever been done in the car. So I had all this in my and so a couple of days later, I think it was Wednesday, I went into Lance's office and told him what I wanted to do, and he loved the idea so much. He's like, I'm going to order one for me too, but he's like, I can't stomach a V6 in the car. I got to have a V8. So he did his extra wide body. We had the idea, like, to celebrate the 68 and 69 wins at Le Mans in the GT40 for the Mark I. 68 was a standard wide body, 69 was extra wide. So he was going to do the 69 car, extra wide body.
Make room for the V8.
With the V8.
Or you would go with the V6.
Yeah. And then I would do the standard wide body, which was 68, because 8's our number.
8's our number.
And do the standard wide body with the twin turbo EcoBoost. And then all of a sudden it just snowballed into a SEMA car.
It caught so much momentum and so much love, and everyone was just coming forward and wanting to be a part of this amazing birth of this car.
And a lot of that was really due to Luke Walsh and Dan Kahn at Kahn Media. They connected me with Rich from Magnaflow, who was one of my heroes from watching every episode of Overhauling, Rich Wadas. And then Rich loved the idea so much, he's like, this is going to be the featured car in our booth at SEMA. And for those of you that have been to SEMA, Magnaflow's booth is like the hub of SEMA.
Yeah.
And that's the place to be. It's where all their celebrity people hang out, and it's a cool place to be. And it's like, for me, you know, being a nerd growing up, it's like, wow, I get to hang with the cool kids for once, and like the biggest stage in the world, which was awesome.
So you were a nerd in your past life. I noticed that about your background.
Yeah.
I mean, product management, product marketing. I'm like, these people stay by themselves over in the room, and you just open the door, throw food in. Now, look, you're hanging out with the cool kids, and you got the cool car.
Right.
That's quite the evolution.
Yeah. But, Kahn Media put me in touch with so many people, and we ended up with like 21 sponsors on the car.
Wow.
And it just snowballed into this huge thing. But like probably every SEMA build, we didn't get everything done. And there weren't twin turbo 3.6 liter EcoBoost crate motors laying around to buy. So, you know, we tried making a run with Doug Yates at Roush Yates. He had a Daytona prototype engine sitting in his shop from the previous season doing nothing. And I'm like, oh, this would be awesome. And he's like, yeah, you can have it. He's like, you just need to get Ford's approval. Well, next thing you know, I get a nasty letter from Henry III saying I'm not a fan of the new livery on an old car. And that was all he said. Sincerely, Henry Ford III. And so that was it for that. So I ended up just getting a takeout motor out of a 2017 F-150, but we didn't have time to build it before SEMA, so we just put it in their stock with some aftermarket turbos. The guys at Superformance fabricated this beautiful intake manifold and figured out all the tubing and the intercoolers, and then Rich did a beautiful job on the exhaust. So it just sounded amazing, and it was still pretty quick. But it wasn't what I envisioned it to be. I wanted to do top speed runs in this car and go well over 200 in it, and so it needed more power. So
you needed to be closer to the edge of your death or the end of your life.
Right.
Because to really love the experience.
Yeah, so last year I pulled the engine out finally and sent it up to RPG Racing Engines in Fresno. They've built it for power now. It's back at the shop sitting next to the car. I keep waiting for it to like hop in on its own, but it's not. And the other problem, if you want to call it a problem, is sales are so good right now. I've got the guys over at V's Performance so busy doing drivetrain installs, they have no time to work on the car. So it's sitting there driving
I've
me
got
nuts.
a project like that, Doug. Say no more. Every time Jason brings it up, he's like, Dad, when is your car going to get out of the paint shop? I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that car. But, you know, when people
All in divine time is what I say.
Yeah.
All right, so we have to ask this question, and we didn't quite get to it last time when we talked about the overhauling experience, right? Mm-hmm. So these shows usually start with somebody getting manipulated, lied to. Doug told me about somebody who got cold cocked. I think it was Chris Jacobs on the show. So what did they do to you, and what was Doug's role? And I'm surprised you're still married. It must. I guess.
God.
Did you forgive him?
I'm just
totally
going to sit
forgave
back
him.
and enjoy this.
They were tweaking me hard for a while. So what happened after Doug unveiled the car at SEMA, the GT40, we got the car back. That was in October. End of October is when SEMA was.
November 2018.
Yeah,
Yep.
November. And we have the car back. It's on dealer plates. We're taking it to its very first show in the public, which was the Purist Toy Drive for, Christmas season.
Yeah.
We're driving it home from Irvine to Balboa, where we live, and we get lit up, completely lit up. And this is when the whole movement of get loud cars off of the street started coming out.
Shout
right?
out to Officer Miller.
Yeah, our fave. And he's a
And
great
all
guy.
the officers in Laguna Beach.
Yes, that's right. I know, right?
Do not go to Laguna Beach. Anyway, I
know,
digress.
Right? I digress.
I digress.
So we were on the side of the road. Now, keep in mind, this was the middle of the holiday season. They wanted to impound the car. They didn't understand the SP 100 laws, all this stuff, right? So long story short, we were in litigation with the city of Newport Beach for about 6 months.
Legitimately.
Legit.
Yeah.
We had people writing letters. We had people from SEMA on our behalf. I mean, it was going. So we got that all cleared in May of 2019, and Overhaulin takes my car at the beginning of July. Of 2019. So what they did when they pranked me is the car was out on the front of the street, and first Doug said that I blew up the engine. Okay, so I had driven the car over the weekend, put a ton of miles on the car. Totally watched the gauges, everything was fine. And he had my uncle in on the prank too. So he had my uncle call and say that they needed to get the car out of the garage because they were going to refurbish the garage for the guy that was living upstairs. So pull the car out, and he's supposed to be leaving to go to work with the car, and he pulls it back around and he's like, were you watching the gauges this weekend? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I don't think so. He's like, the oil's completely not right.
No oil pressure. I told her there was no oil pressure.
You blew up the engine. I'm like, well, how much does that cost? And he goes, $25,000. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, there's no way I blew up that engine. He's like, leave it out here on the street. I'm going to send Ashton with a tow truck. So I started my Monday morning thinking I blew up the car. The next thing you know, I'm watching to make sure nobody hits the car on the street, waiting for the supposed tow truck. And this person from Newport Beach shows up, who is not really from Newport Beach, but said he was, puts a boot on the Daytona and says that he has a petition signed by all of my neighbors that my car is too loud and they want it off the street.
Then he puts a big red impound sticker on the windshield.
Wow,
so
nice work.
This was,
which is it's like pushing your buttons right
totally.
there.
Yeah.
The sound problem.
Yeah, the sound problem. And the fact that they put the only person that I don't get along with on the island at the top of the petition. So I was like, really?
Wow.
Yeah,
so
really.
at that point, you're like, okay, this is legit.
Yeah, I was pretty. Yeah,
jerk.
they had real names of real people. So
I put her name, this one lady's name at the top. Then I put the rest of our neighbors who we totally get along with under that, so she'd think, oh my God, they're against
hate
me
me
too.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. And so I was just, I was spinning out pretty hard. So I'm calling Doug up saying, get the lawyers on the phone. This is either out to get us. We just got this cleared with the GT40, and now they're coming after the Daytona. This is weird. The car's never on the street.
I thought she was going to hit that kid. I thought she was going to hit him.
Yeah,
so were you
they
close?
bleeped out a lot. I was pretty fired up.
Pretty upset.
I was pretty fired up. Yeah.
Well, at one point, you don't see it on the episode, but you see him tell her, like, you remind me of my mother. And,
that went well.
Yeah, and so they don't show it on camera. I can't believe. I wish they had, but she put her hands on her hips, like, well, she must be a nice lady,
like me.
Yeah, she must be a really nice lady.
Yeah, right.
So it's like poking the bear, though. Really setting up the Italians
They really
like this.
did.
I mean, you can't go. You could go too far with an Italian, in my opinion.
You got to be careful.
Sounds like
They
you
were
did.
worried. They asked me actually before the
Did they?
morning of the prank. They asked me, like, are there any weapons in the house?
People can go a little, yeah. And I understand why with the amount of tweaking that you guys do on the person before.
Yeah, because I had started pre-pranking her the day before too. So I mean, she was really spun up by the time she walked out and saw this guy supposedly impounding her car.
Yeah, it's the range of emotions. And then when Chris Jacobs pops out, you know, I recognize him immediately. And then I started connecting dots, and I just started sobbing. Just sobbing. Yeah, absolutely sobbing. Like, there's no way.
So you weren't going to kill your neighbors after all?
No.
You were probably.
I was really happy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
what a
really
story.
happy.
Wow, that's fun. You know, incredible. You guys, your car stories are so amazing, right?
Oh.
And your love story is probably better than your car stories. But we're here to talk about cars, but love both of it. So we got to give a shout out to our other sponsor today, which is SoCal Classic Car Storage, where we are enjoying this great conversation
Amazing.
amongst the cars.
What a better place to be.
I don't think there's a better one.
There
And look at these lovely Superformance cars behind us, GT40s, Daytonas, and a Cobra to mention.
Yeah.
So we've got everything here. This facility is in the lovely city of Laguna Hills, people, and it offers secure white glove vehicle storage and extensive concierge services. It's in addition to storage, our expert sales staff offers consignment services for those looking to sell their cars. So if you ever need help, let us know. For more information, visit us in Laguna Hills or find us at SoCalCarStorage.com or Facebook.com/SoCalCarStorage. Doug, have you thought about anything next? I mean, it sounds like you're always working on the next car. And, you know, now you got these two dialed in almost. You're almost finished with the GT40. Not quite, I realize. But car guys are always thinking about the next thing, aren't they?
The funny thing is, the next car was planned by her. The car after that is planned by me.
So we got two cars in the pipeline.
We have two cars in the pipeline.
I just suspeced this. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised with both you guys.
No, she
got the disease.
You know,
I do.
She helps us. She's Hillbank and Superformance's best unpaid employee.
I love them.
Yeah,
I just do.
But you know, when we go to shows, she's always up to drive a car. And the first year we went to Monterey, and she was driving the Superformance Mark III Cobra replica back and forth from the hotel to the track every day. She just fell in love with it, and she loves open cars.
Yeah.
So when she got rid of her M3 convertible, you know, she didn't have an open car anymore. And the first time she drove one of those Cobras, she's like, I have to have one.
Yeah. I have to have one. So Cobra's going to be next. And then after that, if I'm tracking with you, right, we're going to do the Buick Skylark, right? Is that what
No,
you're
not
thinking?
my.
No?
No.
Well, there's a third car.
Okay, it was number 3.
Let's get this straight.
There's a longer list. But on the short list, you know, I had a car I did for a customer that wasn't even on my radar, and then he unfortunately had to consign it back with only 300 miles on it. And so when it came back from Montana, I drove it home for the weekend just to make sure everything was still good with the car. And I fell in love with it. And it was a Mark II slab side Cobra.
289?
The original Cobra, 289 Cobra.
Beautiful.
And I really want one of those for a daily driver. That's my commuter car, you know, unless it's pouring down rain or something, because I want to put a top on it. You could, but, you know, that... So we get the Mark III 427 car, obviously the more masculine car for her, and then we get the more feminine car for me.
And not to worry, because if you guys have a storage problem at some point, you know where to come,
We
right?
are coming
And
to
that's-
you 1,000%.
yeah, we're out of garage
We have
space,
no
so-
space on the island. That's
You
why I
could-
was like, do
you
you
could
have a
buy
long waiting
another
list?
home in Balboa, but that gets a little pricey just to get 1 or 2 slots.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
I mean,
lucky to get 2
Who buys
cars.
another house just to store all their cars?
Right.
Some of my customers.
Oh, yeah, we
Believe
won't
me.
mention any names,
Believe
Chris.
me.
Yeah.
They do. They'll buy the neighbor's house. And that's how that works.
We
Yeah.
know where our cars are being stored.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
guy right here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we've had some influential women on the in the car world on our podcast, and we want to do as much of that as we can. What's been the reaction of you in the car scene, and how do you feel about it? I mean, has it surprised you? Has it disappointed you? I mean, be as candid as you want.
I will be.
But we want to glorify women as much as we can, because face it, 15 to 20% of our customers are women, and so I think they're a growing part of this community, from my perspective at least.
Women have been amazing, absolutely amazing. And men. I've not come across anything weird or derogatory or unloving at all. And I think it goes back to what Doug always says, that car people are the best people. I did get some interesting, we did receive some interesting opinions on the flowers on the hood of the Daytona, but you know, I always tell people, when people have something sometimes derogatory to say, or their negative opinion, if it's viewed that way, a lot of times it's just because they don't have the full story, or they're not 100% educated. Right. And once they understand that Chip really makes the car for the person, like once they get that piece of it, then it's like, oh, they kind of take a step back. Yeah.
It's not for you, it's for me.
Exactly. Like, you don't have to have the flowers, but I love them. But no, I've, maybe people are saying stuff behind my back, I don't know, but anything that has come forward to me has been just awesome.
That's
awesome.
Great.
Yeah, and the other females that are really the ones that are out there, paving the way on this stuff,
right.
They're incredible. They're incredible, and I give them all like the credit, really, because it's fun to be in their company. I learn from a lot of these women.
But honestly, what we're learning is I think a lot of women are even more competitive than men.
Oh yeah.
So when it comes to racing, or when it comes to building, or when it comes to tuning, or whatever, I mean, like, us guys think we're competitive. I think women have this superpower, like Martina Kwan, who's out there. They just launched the DK Racing School out of Willow Springs. Her and Dwayne DeMint, and we've had her on the show twice now. Nice. And everything she's done has turned to solid gold.
Sure.
But she's laser focused. She's determined. She's intelligent. But she's all in on exactly what she's doing, and I have tremendous respect for that, because she doesn't see any barriers to entry, and I don't think most people do. There's a few idiots out there. I'm not going to say that they're not, but more and more, I think it's a woman's world, so we might as well just get used to it.
Yeah,
if you want a little snapshot into how competitive she is, so the last quarantine cruise. Yeah. So we're driving from the house to the meetup spot, and we're driving down PCH. And she has our friend Tanya in the car with her. I have her husband in the car with me. And she just kept trying to race me the whole way down PCH. And then I see video that our friend was taking in the car with her, and they're trash talking me the whole time.
Look how slow he is.
Slow down and let him catch up. Then we'll just leave him again. I mean,
wow.
Yeah. Oh, she's competitive.
No, I do have a very fun competitive side to me, for sure.
Yeah,
we had fun that day. And speaking of, female, so Tanya has her own shop. So like,
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and then
she and her husband build really cool cars, restore cars.
How awesome is that?
Yeah.
So speaking of guys that like to modify their cars and have it bad, one of my favorite customers, Chris Ashton,
our mutual customer.
Our mutual customer. Yeah. We've had him on this show. And
awesome guy.
Just fantastic guy. We had a blast talking to him. We have a blast every time he comes down here. But he seems to, is he a unicorn where he's just keeps buying cars at Superformance, or does this become like some kind of disease for car guys and they just can't stop? Have you seen it before?
It happens. I've seen it before, for sure. But Chris really is a unicorn, because I've never seen someone who is so down to earth. He can do pretty much whatever he wants.
Yeah, he can.
But he's so down to earth. And the other thing is, I've never seen someone who's so good with software and also so good with their hands at the same time. I'll never forget the first day, because my window in my office looks out in the showroom, and I saw he and his wife come walking in the showroom, and he said, we sold my wife's Lotus, and she needs a new autocross car. So he's like, I want to get a cater on like a 420. So we put together and spec'd out a 420.
So I knew this was going to happen, because that Lotus was here for a long time. And they stored it down here. So I knew they were going to do this catering thing, because he sold that car right out here in this parking lot.
Oh, wow.
To a couple. Yeah. So it's funny how connected we are.
Yeah.
In this crazy world that we live in.
Yeah.
But what a cool guy. So the thing I admire about Chris is not just his down-to-earth nature, but like you said, he's multi-talented. There was a guy that I used to work with in tech that could have been a comedian. He's a great presenter. He's the most, the funniest guy. He he was a prolific writer. He wrote books and books and books. And there are people that have this ability to do multiple things and be great at it. And I think that's the case with Chris, but he couldn't be more humble about it.
Yes.
And that's what's cool.
And he has a heart of gold.
He does.
I mean, all that, and then it's wrapped around this heart of gold. I told him the night he came back the next day, he's like, I'll come back tomorrow and give you a check to go ahead and place the order for the caterer. I'm like, okay, cool. So I remember I was standing in the showroom. We got a big bay door there that was open, and this McLaren comes rolling up, this pearl yellow McLaren, and I'm like, who is this? And he gets out of it, and I'm like, what? And so I said, hey, nice ride. And he's like, well, yeah, my storage place is near here, so I wanted to swap it out for the Viper. And I'm like, what? And so I started asking him, like, so what do you do? And so he told me what he did. And that night I had dinner with my son, and I mentioned to him this guy I met and what he did. My son went nuts because he's a big video gamer, and he's like, are you kidding me? And so
he knew all about
Chris, I said, would it be okay to bring my son by? Could you give me like a tour?
Sure.
And he's like, sure. He spent like 3 hours with my son,
That's so
showing
him.
him all around.
That's so him.
Like, I've never seen my son so lit up in my life.
Well, that's
As
great.
A dad, to see someone do that for your son. I just love the guy.
Well, that's the type of quality individual that he is.
Yeah.
So
He's our connection to you, I think.
I think
Is
so.
that how
Yeah,
we met you?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the unhealthy people that are in the car scene and how much opportunity rich that environment is, Marissa. You've had success in rehabilitating a lot of people, and but unfortunately, when you're super passionate and involved in things, my business, for example, 6-7 days a week, as my son will tell you, and car people, if they're not running a business like this, they're spending every waking moment and they're ignoring their health.
Right.
So give us some advice. Tell us what you've been up to help us get out of this mess.
The best advice I can give people is that you're not alone. And I say that because I was that person too. Running my own business and having the restaurant. We become really passionate about what we're passionate about, like you said. And so we put the focus on everything else, sometimes before ourselves.
Right.
But what people really, I think the message that really needs to be heard is the more that you take care of yourself, the better off your clients are going to be. Your business is only going to be as successful as you are. Your business is only going to be as lucrative as it's like a mirror. What you put inside is what's going to show up for you.
Right.
And it's just so important. And oftentimes we have a wake-up call, and it gets to that point.
Like an emergency or
something happens.
Cancer or...
Right, something happens, and then people go, okay, So what we're trying to do is help people not only reset when they have that awareness, but more importantly, the preventative side of it. Like get in and do something now while you can, and live a long, healthy life.
So where can people find out more about you, Marissa, or some of your things that you want to share with them on the health side, or on the the wealth side, whatever?
Social media is the best way. So Facebook, you can just find me, Marissa DeRosa Campbell. On Instagram, it's superluxurylifestyle.life. And then we have our website, which is fun. It's a hub. It's just a hub of things that Doug and I are passionate about. And so that is superluxurylifestyle.life. And you'll find all kinds of stuff on great supercars and superfoods, and then the health and all of that wrapped into it. So.
And our YouTube channel.
Our YouTube channel. That's right. I forgot about that.
You guys need a social media intern or
It's
something.
so funny.
Really.
It's so funny. Yeah, we just put that YouTube channel up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're having fun. Yeah.
Well, how about you, Doug? Do you want to give a shout out to Superformance Hillbank Motorsports?
Absolutely.
And tell
of
us
course.
where folks can learn more about all this amazing cars and products that you guys produce, sell?
Superformance's website, superformance.com. It's not super performance. It's Superformance, SUPERFORMANCE. Yeah, really. And then all of our inventory and pricing, if you want to see everything that's in our beautiful showroom, that's hillbankusa.com, HILLBANKUSA.com. If you want to check in with me, Daytona 88 DC on Instagram, or Doug Campbell on Facebook.
Wow, it's exhausting, isn't it? We have the same problem. We got so many pages, we don't even know where they are. But thanks. Well, first, I want to just say thank you. You guys were amazing guests. This was a lot of fun. I feel like we need to do this, I don't know, once a month to get caught up in your crazy car lifestyle and see who else you're pissing off in Balboa. I mean, I'll be surprised you guys are there in a year or two. Oh, my God.
Come see us for Quarantine Cruise 8 on September 27th.
Okay, we're coming. I'll be there for sure.
Text cruise to 21,000 and you'll get all the deets.
Thank you. Thank you. As the kids say. All right. For those of you watching us today, don't forget, all of our episodes are on our YouTube channel, The SoCal Car Scene, and that's spelled all separate words, The SoCal Car Scene. Most importantly, you got to subscribe if you want to see all these incredible videos like today with our guests, Doug and Marissa. They were awesome. I don't need you to tell me. I know they're incredible. That's why we got them on, for crying out loud. But please watch, follow, and most importantly, as I said, subscribe. You don't want to miss an episode. If you prefer to listen to these episodes, of course, we're on all the great podcast platforms like Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, Buzzsprout, Google Play, and the SoCal Car Storage /media page. Thanks for listening and watching, and happy motoring.